Hello everyone, it's Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life. I'm here to share with you my days 8 and 9. These are the two that I was waiting for photos to come in before I could complete them. Day 9 is all about our elves. We have two. Their names are Max and Tilly, and they get into a little bit of mischief, but for the most part, we just search to see where they are hiding around our house every morning. And the kids love it. Jackson's really into it. Nora, when she sees them, is good with it. Barrett, unless they're at his eye level, doesn't really care too much. The main thing that Max and Tilly do is bring the advent calendars the very first day. And they surprised Jackson and answered a question for him this year about how old Santa was and if elves are older than Santa. So that was really cool. He loved having that happen for him. So to get this documented, this is a foundation page I had planned out. It is 2 cut files. So the one of the heart, I'm pretty sure is from Paper Issues. I'm like 98% sure it's a Paper Issues cut file. The one on the right there, I simply copied the December Daily Product Play from last year. I think it was Gretchen's. I don't actually know, but I just kind of looked to see what they did and how far, like if it was 3x4 or whatever it was with the circles. And I had mine flip up instead of over, and I put a little scallop on mine. So I just put a box in the silhouette, sized it at 6x8, and made the holes. Super easy. I'm just going to fill the 4 that are numbered with the photos. I have 2 close-ups, so a close-up of Max, a close-up of Tilly. They do look a little bit different the day when they came with the Advent, so that's the very first day. And then one day they were playing on our PlayStation, and Jackson thought that was really funny too. So those are the ones I've got there to kind of document kind of some things that have happened. And then the big photo that you saw me use with that heart that I backed is just of them up on one of the shelves in our living room. And I just really loved the winter scene it kind of gave off. So I felt like a big 6x8 photo of that cut down into that heart shape was the perfect answer. And then the journaling just talks about how the kids loved having them around and searching for them every morning. This is just a nice, light, airy layout. Nothing too much to it. The only thing I need to figure out is what I'm going to use to finish off this last little circle. I had left it as another option for journaling if needed. I don't need it, so now I'm just trying to figure out what to do. I'm going to decide to use one of these patches. I did try to use that heart on top of it. I like the little sentiment on it. However, it's kind of clashing with the pink from the Holly Jolly on the number 9. So I'm not going to do that. I do try to switch into the red patch, and again, it's just not working. So crepe paper and Ali Edwards reds are a little different. They just don't quite go together. But the green worked perfectly, and I'm going to eventually decide on a pink star from Cocoa Vanilla Studio from last year's collection. And that is going to be that nice little added pop of pink. I will have a visual triangle of pink. And when you have a visual triangle, everything always just looks pleasing. I am one of the biggest fans of visual triangles ever. I talk about them all the time. I love them. I do catch myself. I almost put some glue. You can see I almost used my glue, but I realized that was not the right answer. Red line adhesive. So I caught myself, fixed that, put a little strip there, put it on top of the patch, and that little star is not going to go anywhere. Finish it off with something up there. The photo is actually cut off, but when I add this little Mary chipboard piece, it looks like it goes up into the ceiling. And so it's not quite as noticeable. So happy with that. I do realize that it needs just a slightly more adhesive than I had added to it because I went to put it into my album and it was starting to peel just a tiny bit. And of course, I do not want anything to fall off of any of my outside the page protector elements. So I'm just adding a little bit more. Now it's nice and stuck, and I don't think it will go anywhere. Super happy with how that's working. I'll add in a little one of these tabs here. The hardest part of this whole spread was trying to figure out if I needed to have my 2 little sentiments going the same way, or one needed to be upside down compared to the other when I flipped it. I don't know why I was struggling with it so much, but it was a little complicated for my brain at that moment. And then I couldn't get the tape off of the tab. So that was the hardest part of this whole spread, was getting that tab to work. So funny. But eventually I get it working. I think I use one that says home for the holidays, which is kind of fitting because, you know, they're back. And I think the other one says like 'tis the season or something about, you know, it's a great time of year or something along those lines. Very happy with this. I like how it pairs next to day 8, and there's a lot of red in my album this year. I'm noticing that as I'm kind of looking back through. I'm like, oh look, more red. There's another red spread. Oh look, there's another one. And not that there's anything wrong with it, but I'm just noticing it. So it was a nice having that photo that was a very winter kind of Christmas themed red photo pair next to that day 8 red spread. All right, we're on to day 10. Day 10 is also going to be red because it's talking about the day of red. This is the fun kind of concept that Holly from Oh Snap Holly has come up with. Last year she did Day of Green. When she was talking about it on the Instagram live with the Ali Edwards design team, I was like, this is such a neat idea. And she said that it was going to be Day of Red. I watched how she created hers and kind of things that she did. Love the idea. So I was a little late to the party in the fact that I didn't take my photos on the same day that she had created hers, but I definitely took on her concept and it worked really nicely because that morning I got my coffee. Now, when I get coffee in the morning, it's still pretty much pitch dark. Like I know where my mugs are. I know where my coffee is. I don't need to see. So I don't know what mug I get most of the time, but I came out into the living room and the living room had the Christmas lights on and I could see a little bit more and noticed that my mug was actually red. So I was like, this, how convenient. So I snapped a photo of that. I really loved the way that the shot turned out. So I turned it into a 6x8. The other photos that I took for that day to kind of capture what was red around my life for that day, I ended up just making a little collage. I use the Project Life app, and so I turned it into a 6x8. So they're just tiny little 2x2 photos put together. And they include things like my son had a Santa hat on, my daughter had a Christmas shirt on that had the red Santa hat on her unicorn. My youngest plays with these two little Christmas stuffies that only come out at Christmas time, and one of them had a little red bandana, like not a bandana, but like a headband, and then it was Rudolph, so obviously his nose was red. The poinsettias at my work are red. And I think one of their snacks they got to have Skittles because we are still going through our Halloween candy. So that was red. And I think that's that kind of, and the December Daily spread I was working on that day had one of the red felts. So I snapped a photo of that too. Just a simple flip up for it. So you're going to flip it up. Hand wrote my journaling because when it is something that is a light and airy topic, I tend to handwrite it. There's not as much needed. Whereas if I want to go a little bit more in depth or have a larger story, you will notice that I will have it printed out already. I think about my journaling a little bit more that way, as I'm sure most of us do. And so that's how you can tell what the spread is. If it's light and airy, it's handwritten. If it's not, if it's a little bit more in depth, it's going to be ready to go, already thought out, printed out, good to go that way. And just kind of typed journaling instead. Put my title exactly what it is. And then all I have left to do is decide on embellishing and what I'm going to do. I had one of the hearts that says totally merry and bright, I believe. And I had the little Santa, which I felt worked well because my cup says Santa's favorite. I felt that just kind of tied in well. Another great way to use up a Santa thing. I don't know about you, but my stash has a ton of Santa themed things because, you know, I really only use Santa if we go see him or for Christmas Day. That's about it. So it was a great way to just use something up. I started with the stars. I just wasn't sure. I had some tags to play with on the number 10 tag. Now, if you saw, because of course I've already done day 11, right? I had to do that while I was waiting for these photos. So the back of this is the menu that starts off my day 11. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to use. I don't want to make this much. I like the look of it being this nice resting spot and with just the number and something. I didn't want to add a lot, but I wanted something. And so I found this tag, and I think it says kind of finding joy in little things, right? It's that tag. Came from this year's release from Allie Edwards. It's from the Tags collection, and I trimmed it down to fit what I wanted, so it really did work. Tried to add in the heart. I thought that would look really cute for both of them to dangle together. I was trying to make it too complicated, so I'm going to take that all away. I'm going to put the little red in there and just use the one tag. I then am going to decide, you see I tried to add the Santa there too. The stars are a good place to have in this area because they're flat enough. I can close it. It's not going to be too much. And I'm happy with that. So there, okay, I've got that figured out. I'm going to go and put those exactly back where they were, that totally merry and bright with the Santa. And I'm going to add some ribbon with that tag and ribbon down at the bottom. And that is going to do it for this one as well. I have to remind myself not everything has to be complicated, even though sometimes I try to make it. It does not always need to be complicated to still be very pretty and work and tell your story. So remember that yourself if you're struggling to try to make the best page ever. It doesn't always have to be like that. I know we want it to be, but sometimes simplicity is just as beautiful. All right, that is going to do it for today. I'm just kind of getting the last little bits on. You can see I used red line on the ribbon there because I don't want that to fall down. I also put red line on the ribbon on the tag as well. Here's a look at all of my finished photos for these 2 days. I hope you enjoyed. I will be back later this week for a couple more spreads. I'm a little bit behind. I'm only on, I think, day 13. So I'm a little bit behind, but I hopefully will get caught up and maybe I'll be done before New Year's this year. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.